One thing you brought up, and I don't want it to get lost, like you as the owner, you do an amazing job with financial transparency. I think a lot of times that can make other owners, very uncomfortable. What is the true bottom line? What is the true net profit? What is the EBITDA at? Walk us through the impact that's made since you've shared that with your senior leadership team, where they see everything in the business. Like there's nothing hidden. Every line item is fully exposed. Walk us through the process of, what led you there and the impact that it's made.
Yeah. So one of our values is win the day, know your metrics, own your results. I do mission, vision, values onboarding with every new employee. And what I say is, if you play a basketball game, football game, baseball game, imagine playing and your team can't see the scoreboard. Mm-hmm. You would probably lose the game. If you can't see the scoreboard, it'd be hard to win. You're not changing your plays.
You have to make adjustments.
Can't change plays, change things at halftime because you don't even know the score. You're losing track. Mm-hmm. What I find is a lot of businesses I go visit, our business for years was ran where one person knew the score. It was me. I knew the score. That was it. Nobody else did. So I'm over here like some kind of magician trying to pull all these strings to make sure that everybody lines up to where their score is going to come out on our side and we're going to win. Horrible way to run a business. Mm. If you're not giving every single person numbers and goals and driving them towards those goals and showing them why and why that impacts them, you're not going to be able to run a successful business, or at least I couldn't figure it out. So super uncomfortable. Sometimes we talk about revenue, and I was even uncomfortable talking about revenue, thinking like, this is back when we were doing $5 or $6 million a year in revenue. I'm like, man, people are probably thinking that I'm over here making $5 million a year. And, meanwhile, they're only making $18 an hour, $22 an hour, or whatever it was. I think the reason I felt that was because we weren't transparent about it. Well, yeah, it's easy if you just throw out, hey, we're going to do X amount of revenue this year. People probably do feel that way. But taking the time and energy to explain why that matters. What is revenue? What is gross profit? When we say we're at 54% gross profit, does that mean we just made 54% of everything? We just made that?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't. We still have overheads. Okay, so what about 14% net profit? That's our budget this year. What's that mean? Does that just go into Brady's pocket? No. What do we do with that? How do we reinvest that? Where does that cash go? I think one of the, other than the Ops L10 and the Biz L10 where it's leaders, we talk about those things all the time. Another place we talk about that with leaders is quarterly offsites. So we do quarterly offsites. I think the last one we did, it was much about where's our money went this year.
Yes.
So we talked about capital expenses, things we're paying for the building, equipment that we're purchasing. This year we paid off a bunch of debt. We're debt-free as a business. We talked about how much cash went to that. Yeah. Then another place that's talked about, not with leaders, with the whole company, is in our quarterly town halls. So the last town hall that we did, we talked all about that. It was just a financial review. It's like, hey, guys, this is what's happened this year. This is how much net profit. This is what net profit is. This is where it goes. And I think like the thing about it is like, I don't ever want to be the owner that sits here and says like, yeah, the company's making a bunch of money, but I'm not making anything. Like, That's not true either. Obviously, of course, yeah, the company does better. I do better. What I want to be though is everybody in this room does better. Every single person in this room is going to do better as we make more profit. One of my favorite metrics from last year, we paid $480,000 in employee bonuses. We pay competitive wages to every single person, competitive hourly wages. Then on top of that, $480,000 for our 60 employees in just bonus dollars.
Awesome.
And our budget, our goal for the year that we track on our super KPIs we track with the company every town hall, our budget was for $350. We blew that out of the water. That's because we exceeded our profitability goal.
Yeah, and we're able to show that. And I'll say from our operational leaders, our managers, they talk about it often of like why they like to work here, and they share because they're working with the owner that's fully transparent. First, I thank you for that. And then second, I think you alluded to this a little bit, but all of our managers are tied to performance. Most of your operational leaders are tied to gross margins. The budget sets that. So they know when they're going into these budget planning workshops, we have to be transparent because it's tied to essentially what they're going to be paid and their income, which is great. And I think that they get to see when they hit budget, they're doing really well. When they hit vision, they're doing exceptional. They're being rewarded for that. So it's the same thing for our sales. We've done great with sales, right? We'll give them as many leads as they want if their KPIs are there, and we're never going to cap them. a lot of times leaders, operational leaders that we've done, I don't know about the entire industry, there's been kind of a ceiling. Like they're mostly salary based. There's always bonus opportunity. But now with the transparency and the clarity of budget versus vision, you can see how you can go, for a service manager, how you can go make 50% of your base if you're really exceptional. 25%, 30%. And we have multiple leaders right now making 20, 30% of their base salary because they're performing so well. And it's because they can see it and they're bought in. And I just love that piece. I think it's something that can get lost because it can make people uncomfortable. Well, do the uncomfortable thing.
Yep.
And also, when you're not in a good spot, people can see it. It's like, okay, well, these are the changes. These are the reasons why. If we don't increase XYZ, something has to get eliminated. And what's that going to be? Yep. That's what I love about our overhead conversations.
Yeah, I think in 2024 we were like 3% net profit or something. It was a really hard year, and we were pulling money from our line of credit, and we were like, there was times where money was tight, and that was talked about. It's a lot easier talking about it when things are great. Hey guys, look, great job.
Sure.
We 15% net. But when it's like, hey guys, we just pulled $100,000 from our line of credit to make this payroll, and this is the importance of that, and we need to really make sure that we're hitting our budget and goal this week so that we can pay that line of credit back. Like, we're having those conversations when it's bad too, and there's been a lot of that.